Hello beautiful people, so in this video I'll be showing you how to draft a trouser. Now in my last video I did a freehand of how to draft a trouser, but it was not really clear because that video was done in a rush. I had to wear that trouser for my son's Christmas party in December, so that video was done in a rush. So in this video I'll be showing you how to draft a basic trouser on a pattern. Yes, on a paper, that's on a pattern. Now this trouser is for both the front and the back. Please like, share, love and thumbs up, and please do subscribe. Thank you. So let us get right into drafting our trouser. So for the purpose of this tutorial I'll be using my measurements. Now my waist is 32 inches, my hip length is 9.5 inches, while the my crotch length is hip divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches, which is 11.5 inches. Now this is for the length of a basic trouser. Now because it is an high waist, I'll be adding 2 more inches to that 11.5, which would be 13.5 inches. The position of this trouser will be placed around my belly area, so that is why I'm adding 2 more inches. Now that 2 inches is a position of my band. I'll be using that 2 inches as my band. Please take notes. My knee length is 22 inches, while my trouser length is 40 to 42 inches. Now 40 inches is for the basic length trouser, but because I want it to be after my ankle, so I'll be using 42 inches. My hip circumference is 40 inches. My thigh is 24 inches, while my knee and ankle circumference is between 16 to 18 inches. But because I want it to be a wide leg, I'll be maintaining 18 inches. Yeah, so whatever you now, this can change, but because I'm not doing a basic trouser, this is why I'm going to just stick to 18 inches. My trouser length that I want to use is 42 inches. Yeah, so I'm going to measure my pattern paper. I'm going to be leaving like 3 inches more extra because of my borderline and allowances. Yeah, because the back length of my center back is going to be longer than the front. So, and I don't want to keep adding paper, so I'm just going to add 3 inches with this 42 inches, making it 45 inches. Now my pattern paper will not be enough. This pattern paper will not be enough, so I'm going to be adding more pattern paper. So what I have here is 35 inches, so I'm going to be adding 10 more inches to this pattern paper. Once I've done that, I'll go ahead to do like a mark all through my pattern paper. That will serve as a guideline. When I say a line all through my pattern paper, it is called a borderline. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a borderline of 0.5 inch, 0.5 inch all through my pattern paper. So from the tip of the pattern paper, I measured 0.5 inch from here at the top. I'm going to do it the same to the side, to the side, to the sides, and I'm going to do the same thing to this side all through the pattern paper. So I've gone ahead to do my border lines all through my pattern paper. Now at the center front, I'll be measuring from my borderline. I'll be measuring 3 inches inward, 3 inches inward. The reason is because of my crotch. The reason is because of my crotch, my extension, the extension of my crotch. Because if I start measuring my trouser from here, by the time I get to the crotch, how will I project it? So I'm going to be measuring 3 inches inwards first. Yeah, from this part. from this borderline, I'm going to measure 3 inches inward. 3 inches inward, all through. All through. Now, once I've done that, I'll connect downward with a connecting all these dotted lines, dotted points together. Now, once I do that, I'm also going to be doing either 2 inches downwards or 3 inches downwards, because our back trouser is higher than the front. So eventually I now start drafting my trouser from here. Now when I want to draft the back, I'll need to come up. It doesn't make sense if I had paper here. So to avoid that, I'm going to come down from this line. I hope you can see it. So I'm going to come down from this line here by 2 inches. Let's just say 2 inches. I'm going to come down by 2 inches and roll all through. I'm going to connect those dotted points together. Like so. Now I'm going to measure to be sure that I'm on the right spot. I'm going to measure from this point, not this former line, but the new line I just did. I'm going to measure downwards to see if the length of if this pattern paper will contain the length of my trouser, which we said was 42 inches. And so, yes, we have more than 42 inches here, which is okay. So once we've done that, we'll go ahead to start drafting. And so on this pattern paper, I'll be drafting both the front and the back together with it. I'm also going to be using different markers to be able to identify the front and the back. So the front pattern would have, I'll be drafting with the black marker. Then the back, I'll be drafting with either red or pink marker to differentiate the two. The next thing I want to do is to measure my waist circumference. To measure the length of my crotch, to measure the length of my hip, to measure the length of my knee, and to measure the length of my trouser. Now, remember, we've written down our measurements. So what I want to do now is to measure the length of my knee. From my waist is 9.5 inches. Yeah, 9.5 inches. So I'm going to measure from this line. Please note, from this line and not this line, from this second line, I'm going to measure 9.5 inches as my hip, length of hip. 9.5 inches. 9.5 inches. I'm going to connect these lines together. Connect these lines together. This is my hip line. Then my crotch line, like we wrote down, the length of my crotch is 11.5 inches. 11.5 inches. So I'm going to measure from my waist. I'm going to measure 11.5 inches for my crotch. 11.5. 11.5. 11.5. So I'm going to connect those dotted lines together. Next thing I want to do is to measure my knee length. My knee length, which is 22 inches from my waist. I'll go ahead to measure from my waist. I'll measure 22 inches downwards. Twenty-two inches, 22 inches, 22 inches. Connect these lines together. This will be my ankle measurement. This will be my ankle measurement. I'm going to just leave it like this. Once we are done with our length measurements, what next we want to be doing is our circumference measurement. Our circumference measurement for my round waist, which is 32 inches divided by 4, gives us 8 inches. That's 32 divided by 4. 32 divided by 4 is equals to gives us 8 inches. Thirty-two divided by 4 gives us 8 inches. Plus 1 inch that. But this is totally not compulsory. This that is not compulsory. Please note that this that is not compulsory. So I have my waist, I have 32 divided by 4, which gives us 8 inches plus 1 inch that. But this that is not necessary. So I'm not going to be putting my that because I don't want that in my trouser. So I'll just stick to 8 inches. 8 inches. So I'll go ahead from this line, this second line, from my center front, I'll measure 8 inches. Yeah. Then at my hip length, this is the length of my hip. So and the circumference of my hip is hip circumference is 40 inches divided by 4. Divided by 4, which is 10 inches. Now, some people like to put ease in their trouser, but I will not be putting ease in my hip. I want it to be perfect. For the reason of this tutorial is so that you see the perfect fitting. So I'm not going to be putting ease in my trouser. So my hip circumference is 40 divided by 4, which is 10 inches. That's my hip. This is my hip line. Let me write it. Hip, then crotch, then my knee, so my hip circumference is 10 inches. 10 inches. Likewise, my crotch, whatever I have at my hip is the same thing I'll project to my crotch. Remember, my thigh is 24 inches, and this 24 inches divided by 2 gives us 12 inches. Remember, my thigh is 24 inches divided by 2 gives me 12 inches. So at this crotch region, I'm going to be extending 2 inches outward, 2 inches outward to get the length of my crotch, which is, like I said, 2 inches. Or there's another way you can get the extension of your crotch, which is hip times 0.05. Yeah, this is crotch extension. The other way you can get your crotch extension is by doing this calculation, which is hip times 0.05. It gives you the perfect crotch extension. Now, hip times 0.05 gives us 2. Now that's why I always prefer to use this formula, because our thigh differs, our body size differs. Yeah, so and my hip, I said my hip is 40, so 40 times 0.05 equal 2. Now for someone that has hip 41, 41 times 0.05 is 2.5. You can see the differences. You can see the differences. So I would advise that you go through this formula. I advise that you go through this formula. So my crotch extension is 2 inches. From this crotch, I'm going to extend 2 inches outward. Like it's straight outward. Now I'm going to note the midpoint of my waist. I'm going to note the midpoint of my waist, and the midpoint of my waist is 4 inches. You know my waist is 8 inches, and the midpoint, that's 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to be measuring my midpoint, which is 4. Now the essence of this is to note the midpoint of my trouser. Is to note the midpoint of my trouser. Yeah, remember that I am not adding a dart. Assuming I'm adding a dart, the midpoint of my trouser will be different, but because I'm not adding a dart, I'm just going to divide straight. So I have 4 inches here. I'm going to project 4 inches from this line inward, 4 inches inward. This is to know the midpoint of my trouser. This will serve as a guideline to my knee measurements. So 4 inches. My waist circumference, rather my hip circumference, and my crotch circumference. Connect those dotted lines together. Yeah, so once I do that, now I remember I said my knee circumference is 18 inches, so, and so for my knee circumference, I'll be dividing it by 4. I'll be dividing my knee by 4, divided by 4, my ankle to divided by 4. So 18 divided by 4 is 4.5, yeah, which is equals to 4.5 inches. This as well is 4.5 inches. Remember let me bring it closer for you to see. So my knee circumference will be divided by 4, my ankle circumference will be divided by 4. So 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. The next thing is to project for my midpoint. Project 4 points, measure 4.5. This is 4.5, a little bit outside this line. I'm going to come here and measure 4.5 from this midline point outward. This is 4.5. Altogether gives me 9 inches. Yeah. From this line, from my crotch, I'm going to extend the line to this point. From my crotch, I'm going to extend the line to this point. Let's connect the line together like this and like this. For my ankle, I'm going to do the same thing. Remember I said the measurement I have here is the same thing that I would have here for my ankle. So I'll measure 4.5 from this midpoint. I'll go ahead and measure 4.5 outward. Just a little bit outward. Then this as well, from this point, measure 4.5 outward. So I'll make sure to connect these two lines together. Measure 4.5 here. At my crotch region, at this my hip region, I'll come out by 0.5 inch. I'll come out by 0.5 inch. I hope you can see. At my hip line, I'll come out by 0.5 inch here. 0.5 inch here. So once I do that, I'll be using my arc ruler to connect to my crotch. Now the next thing and the final thing we want to do to our front bodies trouser pattern. At this point, at our side front, let me shift it so that you can see well. At our side front, you are expected to come up by half an inch here. Yeah, come up by half an inch and take it up. You connect it to nothing at your middle point. Come up by half an inch from your side waist and connect it to your midpoint of your trouser. And so that is that. So I'm going to go right into drafting our back trouser. So that is just it about your front trouser. There's absolutely nothing difficult here. Please like, share, love, and thumbs up. And please do subscribe. Thank you.